The SS Tempest was the first ship of the Anchor Line. She was a small but respectable ship at 214 feet long and 866 gross registered tons. She was the first ship in the Anchor Line, which lasted from 1855 to 1980. It was a shipping company founded when Captain Thomas Henderson became a partner in the shipping agency N&R Handyside Company based in Glasgow. His arrival resulted in the formation of the Anchor Line, which was established with the aim of creating a new service that would sail to New York. As I said, the first ship in the new line's transatlantic fleet was the SS Tempest. Tempest was originally a sailing ship, but she was converted from a sailing ship into a steamship in 1856. She served as a passenger liner and cargo liner, and even after her conversion was propelled by both sail and steam power. Still, having sails was a key safety precaution due to the fact that in those days of early steam engines, the engines were very unreliable and often failed, and if there was no sails, then a ship would be stranded at sea. This exact thing happened to the liner the California, and she and her passengers drifted until they were found by another ship and towed back to land. Unfortunately, it was less than a year after the Tempest was converted that she would leave New York for Glasgow in February 1857 under the command of Captain Morris, and she would never be heard from again. According to some sources, she only had one passenger on this voyage, with 150 total people on board. The Tempest herself, after being converted into a steamship, undertook her first Glasgow to New York passage roughly 4 months earlier, in October of 1856. She made the crossing over the ocean in 28 days, and then she returned safely back to Glasgow. Her second trip to New York from Glasgow began when she left on December 27th of the same year, under the command of Captain Morris. On this crossing, she was carrying 50 passengers on board, and again, all went well. She arrived in New York on February 1st and left again on the 13th. And after this, as we have established, she vanished without a trace ever being found of her, and to this day the loss remains a completely unexplained and unsolved mystery. So now we come to the question of what happened to the SS Tempest. There are some ideas. Given the time of year that she vanished in and the fact that she was in the North Atlantic Ocean, a likely explanation could be her striking an iceberg. A ship striking an iceberg and sinking is not a phenomena exclusive to the Titanic at all. The Pacific likely struck one and sank in 1856. The city of Glasgow also likely did as well. Other Anchor Line ships, such as the United Kingdom and the Ismailia that also vanished, likely did too. The Wabeno did in 1868, and the city of Boston might have a few years later as well. The Hans Hentoff did in the 1950s as well, and even as recent as 2007, modern ships can be lost due to an iceberg collision. Ships from the mid-19th century absolutely could and did fall prey to them. It was not at all an uncommon occurrence. You also have to wonder how that one passenger might have reacted to such a situation. How they were reassured by the crew, what actions they and the crew undertook, and so on. An iceberg collision can also lead to a very rapid sinking scenario or even a slow one that takes place over the course of hours. In that kind of time, the crew likely would have long roused their one passenger after the collision. They also would have had time to assess the damage and so on. Again, if this was the cause. But this is not the only theory to explain this unsolved mystery, so what else could have happened that caused the ship to sink? Perhaps there was no time for all of that. Perhaps something much more swift and sudden descended upon them that caused the ship to vanish. According to some sources, a storm also struck the area the ship should have been in, and it was during the storm itself that she vanished. If verified, that presents another very probable explanation for the loss, and a very likely one too. Ships being overwhelmed in bad weather was not uncommon back then, and such things could easily explain literally hundreds of cases of ships disappearing. Larger liners of later years can even rock severely in bad weather. Look at the story of when the mighty Queen Mary was very nearly capsized when she was struck broadside by a rogue wave. The mighty Atlantic could have easily swallowed this much smaller Tempest in a torrent of mountainous waves of water and screaming wind. And a particularly bad winter storm could easily have created a massive rogue wave that swamped or even capsized the ship. A rogue wave or any other large wave combined with the strong wind that you get in severe storms at sea could easily have overwhelmed the ship. I would say bad weather if the information that she was last seen in a storm is verified, or striking an iceberg given the time of year, are the most likely explanations, but they are not all the theories that we could suggest. It's just as possible that the ship did not fall victim to a natural hazard. Other things that could explain the loss include mechanical related issues, such as a fire breaking out, or even the steam engines or boilers exploding. No matter the cause, though, the Tempest completely vanished without a trace, and she has never been seen again. Her loss is completely unexplained, and no known debris ever washed ashore anywhere in the time after the ship went missing. Just like with the Waratah or the city of Boston, there are absolutely no clues to fill us in on what happened. Either way, though, no matter what happened, the SS Tempest and the 150 people who were on board her all vanished, and to this day, the cause for the loss is unknown. The Tempest is still missing. Her wreck lies somewhere hidden on the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean to this day, but if she was ever found, perhaps she might still bear the clues of what caused her mysterious fate, and perhaps if she was found, she could still tell us. If the wreck will ever be found is yet to be seen, but I'm not particularly optimistic. Unfortunately, there is not much to tell in this story, so that's going to be the end of the video. I find this ship to just be very intriguing. Maybe because the fact that she vanished with only one passenger on board, or just the total unknowns that are at play in this story, and these kinds of things just really sink into my soul and just pull me in and never let go. And I just want to know. You really want to know the answers to the unknown. The story, what happened? Did she sink in a storm? Did she strike an iceberg? Was she swamped by a rogue wave? The questions and the unknowns just grab you, and they keep the ship and its story in your mind, and you just want to go find them again. It's like the ghosts of the ships themselves, and the passengers who are on board grab you and plead with you to tell their stories and come find them so they aren't forgotten. It's one of those feelings you get when you look into the unsolved mysteries that are from the ocean, a place that we cannot go and have a hard time exploring, yet has so many stories hidden away, tantalizingly close, but just out of reach. It's the same feeling you get when you see like an abandoned home and you think it feels lonely. And perhaps one day the Tempest will be found and she can tell us her story. Though the wreck by now would probably be in a very sorry state, I'm sure even after all this time, it could still bear the clues to tell us what happened. It's the only way we might ever learn what fate befell her and befell her passengers. Or it will remain a secret forever lost to the ocean, and the wreck will be forever hidden, slowly corroding and rotting away until everything is gone, never to be seen by humans again. In 1870, another anchor line vessel, the SS Ismailia, also vanished in a scenario nearly identical to the SS Tempest. Her wreck has also never been found.